The Grove GMK6300L is a 6-axle 300-ton capacity mobile crane, and it has a long 80-metre main boom. This Conrad model includes a very simple instruction sheet that has the parts listed, but there's no information on reeving the hook. There are some parts to fit, and firstly some need to be separated from the moulding sprue, and then the assembly can begin. First up, we'll install one of the door mirrors and it just presses into place, with a good enough fit that it won't just drop out. In addition to the door mirrors, there are two others, and for some reason they don't have silvered surfaces. One goes over the cab door and the other fits over the front windscreen. At the back there are a couple of beacon lights to install, and they're both mounted on their own supports. The model comes with separate outrigger pads. These clip onto the outrigger pistons and they can be positioned underneath the carrier for transport purposes. The last item to add to get the crane on the road is the swing-away jib, and that just gets mounted on the side of the boom. Starting underneath, the transmission to each of the driven axles is modelled. There are the usual large all-terrain tyres, and they're mounted on plastic wheels which, because of the colour, just have that slight plastic look. The driving cab captures the distinctive shape very well, but there's no usable tie-on point for the hook at the front. Detailing behind the cab is very good, with various engine components visible, but at the back things are simpler and there's chevron graphics. The metal outrigger beams are also fairly simple, and the pistons are smooth-sided. The crane cab is good with lights, metal grab rails and small graphics. The counterweight has got usable lifting lugs on the inner plates, but not on the outer blocks. The boom has got some spooling drums, and there are metal pulleys in the boom head, and the hook is a fairly simple metal part. The swing-away jib is a metal part and it's good, but the model would look good with a single line hook to go with it. The axles are linked together in 3 separate pairs, and they steer well with a very good range of movement. Also very good is the suspension on each axle. They are sprung and the wheels bounce up and down nicely. This is a heavy model, so unsurprisingly it does roll well, and it's good to see that all the wheels are properly grounded and they turn together. If we set the steering, then the model can execute a nice sharp turn, and that's what all the other road users would expect to see. But if you want to cause a bit of mayhem, then you can always go for the fun of setting the crab steering. Whilst we're on the test track, let's check the suspension, and there's plenty of bounce there. Now we've arrived on site, let's set the crane up, so we'll extend the outriggers, and they're 2-stage. To lower the pads, it's the usual mechanism of unscrewing the pistons, and there's enough travel on all 4 pistons that you can set the model to be wheels free. We didn't travel to site with a hook rigged, so let's do that now. And the rope can be taken to the front and the hook reeved, but there's no natural tying off point on the model. With the hook on, we'll now lift the boom, and Conrad has provided a positive lock for the main boom ram, and that uses a spanner on the end which tightens it up. You just need to make sure that it's done up tight enough. The counterweight is a little bit unusual because the main block clips together, so to separate the top plate we're using the top of a Bic biro, and in that way we won't scratch the paint. This system of counterweight clipping does work, but it means it's not as flexible as other systems because you have to use the top plate when you attach it to the crane. One nice touch is that with the counterweight in place on the carrier, you can rotate the top of the crane over it. However, to fit the counterweight on, you have to use some heavy lifting hands, and you lift it up and clip it into place, which can be a little bit tricky depending on paint thicknesses. However, once you've got it in place, you can load up the side blocks, and these fit well and just hang into place. So it is possible at least to pose a couple of different arrangements of counterweight. Let's take a quick look at a couple of other things, and there's a tilting cab, and if you like you can have fun rotating one of the spooling drums. Extending the telescopic boom works in the standard way, you just pull it out, and it all works smoothly enough with just one locking position, and that's at the 100% mark on each section. The winch drum relies on friction as a brake, and you have to use fingers and thumbs to operate it, so be prepared to end up with sore fingers if you want to do a lot of heavy lifting. The other main feature of the model is the swing away bifold jib, and it's a nicely made part which opens up and then you pin it in position with plastic pins. Unfortunately the fit is not the best, so they look a little bit unsightly, and either better fitting plastic pins or even steel pins would be an improvement. Once it's secured in position, you can then reeve it with a single line hook, and the other functionality is that you can set an offset angle using the hydraulic ram. It is a feature of the real crane that it has a long boom, so let's do a dim check on the model. And to the top of the main boom it's about 65 inches or 165 centimeters, and to the top of the fly jib we're really going large, because it's around 83 inches or 210 centimeters. This is a nice model of the GMK6300L, and as you would expect it's a strong and robust model by Conrad. It is pricey for a 6-axle crane model, but you do get something that's large and impressive. Maybe in time it would be nice to see some versions in crane company colours, and this is an easy model to highly recommend.